Alright guys, so there's the Super ATV arched arms on the X4. Obviously they don't fit because they're made for an old school Wolverine, but I looked at the geometry and the pictures and I figured they were close enough where I could actually make them work and save myself some effort from making some arms from scratch, and I think that is correct. So it looks really good. Obviously the shock mount needs to be modified because the shock mount's farther out on the old school Wolverine. No big deal. And the arms are a little too long. They're about 1.25 inches longer on the X4 than the OG Wolverine. So I've got to shorten the arm up a little bit. Both of these things do not scare me. Much easier than making an arm from scratch, and the Super ATV did a really nice job on these arms, by the way. They're super beefy. So what I'm actually looking at doing is if I take 1.25 inches out in the center of them, obviously there's going to be some strength loss because I'm not that great of a welder. I could take 1.25 inches out over here by just re-drilling some holes, which is an interesting option that I might pursue. But then I end up with just barely enough clearance between that bottom pipe and the knuckle. Things that are the same between the two is the spacing on the frame. They bolt right up to the frame side, no problem. The spacing for the knuckles is the same. The width of those tangs basically is the same, no problem. And but every dimension, actually, the rake, back, and everything is all the same. The only difference is the length of the arm is about 1.25 inches longer. Alrighty guys, so there's the stock control arm for the Wolverine X4. And the problem with the stock control arm is it's a really big thin pipe and it wastes like 3 inches of ground clearance because this shock should be mounted down here and this should be arched. Ergo, here's the arched arm from an old school Wolverine, first gen. As you can see, the shock mounts in the arm, so you're not wasting any ground clearance, big arch. Problem is, this arm is 1.25 inches shorter than this arm, so you got to shorten it up to use it on the X4. So those lines I drew are 1.25 inches apart, and you take your cutoff wheel and you chop out 1.25 inches. This bar is pretty much perpendicular with the long axis of the machine, therefore this lines up right. Just weld it. Nice thick metal, no problem welding it. Cut a nice groove into it, do a nice little weld, and then go over it with a nice big fat weld. No problem. This is a triangle, so when you move it up here, it doesn't line up right, so you have to trussing it because it doesn't line up. So you just tack it where it does line up. You don't tack this to there basically, and then you put a truss on either side of it. I thought about sleeving this, but it would look ugly. It would cost a little bit of ground clearance, and I don't think it's necessary. Another mod you have to do is because the shocks are giant on the self-leveling X4, so you have to grind into here a little bit like that and take the edge off of this right here. Just a little bit of grinding with a grinder wheel, not too bad, and you can pretty easily make it mount up. Alrighty guys, the arched arms are all on the X4. Looks pretty darn good if you ask me. I do plan to upgrade the spring still because it looks great right now, but once it gets loaded down with 100 pounds of mud and all the nooks and crannies, it will sag. But just the arched arms give you way more area under the curve, right? Which is what it's all about. Ground clearance under the diff is great, but you really want ground clearance as much places as you can get it. So those arched arms made a huge difference. Obviously my welds are not beautiful, and I just hit them with some rattle can and didn't mess with any powder coating because it's not me. But works good. You can see where I trussed it up right here maybe. Yeah, it's not, doesn't look perfect, but you can't really see it because it's on the front of the arm, and it's strong. And the nice thick metal Super ATV welds easy. Make sure you ground the powder coat off or you'll get, powder coat inclusions in your weld. One thing I forgot to mention earlier is after you cut your 1.25 inches out of the arms, put them on the bike, line them up, make sure your wheel's straight, put a level on your hub and all that, and make sure the bike's level, the machine, the buggy, whatever you want to call it, and then go ahead and tack a few spots on this arm and a few spots on the front arm, or the front pipe. That way when you put it all together, there's no surprises. Again, shocks fit, grinded there, no big deal, and axle angles look good. These springs are just really too soft for mud riding, but with this bracket and the way this shock kicks these arms kick the shock out a little bit, it's got a pretty good amount of ride height now. But the problem is it's parked next to this guy, and this thing has all the ride height. So arched arms are good though. They don't increase your center of gravity, they don't increase your axle angles, but they give you more clearance. Every vehicle should come with arched arms from the factory. The front arms on this thing are arched. I have no idea why the rear arms aren't arched. I did replace my axle. This is the second one I've had to rebuild because of the stock arms letting rocks sit up against the CV boot, and you see where that boot started to leak a little bit. I caught it pretty early, so it'll be fine. Just new boot, new grease, and it'll be good to go. That'll be the second one I've had to rebuild though, so I keep a spare. But these new arms don't have the problem with holding rocks right here and letting them rub against the boot. So hopefully I've corrected my CV boot problem, as well as got myself some ground clearance for all my efforts. Tools you need: grinder with a cutoff wheel, grinder with a grinder wheel, bench grinder helps, not really required, arc welder, some welding sticks, a jack, spray paint. That's pretty much it. That's all you need to adapt the Super ATV arms from the original Wolverine to the X4. And like I said several times, just lop off 1.25 inches, and as you can see, my alignment is still perfect on both sides. So pretty happy with them. Came out decent. Should be a good performance increase.